Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Emmy the Cat Lady, and we're back here on Point Lookout for the final kind of interesting location that you can find in this place. It's a bit of a dreary day. We've got a lot of creepy totems and dolls hanging from trees and mannequin heads and things. It's all very spooky, very creepy. Oh, interesting. There's dog footprints there. Ah, never noticed that before, but anyway, random aside, there's people footprints, but there's also dog footprints, so that's fun. So we're going to talk about Blackhall Manor and the ritual site, and this kind of gets into some of the Eldritch Lovecraftian stuff that's referenced a few times in the game. So we're here at Blackhall Manor, which is an old Victorian style manor. It's located here in the kind of east of the map, so sort of north, east, west of the map. Sorry. So it's slightly to the northwest of the disaster relief outpost, and we're quite close to the sacred bog where the giant mother punga fruit lives. There's a little pier and sunken boat and stuff here, so it's a nice creepy house. It's kind of reminiscent of, the kind of place that the Addams family would live in my view. And it's the ancestral home of an old wealthy family that date back long before the Great War. And there is one surviving member of the family. There's also some roots grown over the floor and a church pew for some reason. Not sure why that is exactly, but there is one surviving member of the family, and this is him here. So this is Obadiah Blackhall. I can't speak today. Obadiah Blackhall. This is him. He sits in this wheelchair. He's got crutches and he's got some.
You should have seen this place 30 years ago.
Yeah, and some gas tanks and things. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, this is Obadiah Blackhall. He's the last surviving member of the family. He's obviously an older man now, elderly, and appears to be somewhat disabled. He can walk. You do see him walk around, but clearly he spends a lot of time in his wheelchair and he uses crutches and things. So he's potentially got mobility issues. And then there's canisters here which
Would
are
have killed you to wipe your feet.
you literally have roots growing across your carpets. Or I think me wiping my feet's the least of your problems. It's hard to see, but it's actually nitrous oxide, which is, if you don't know, is laughing gas. And it is
Try not to get that filth on you while you're out there.
Yeah. It's used for anesthesia, so it can be used to make other anesthetic drugs more potent. So you use less of them, and it does provide some kind of pain relief. So, what's sometimes referred to as gas and air is something that's used during labour for childbirth, that kind of thing. So nitrous oxide can be used for that purpose. It does also make you feel a bit funny, hence the term laughing gas. So it does kind of suggest that this man is dealing with a bit of chronic pain and things, interestingly. But it's worth talking about his ancestor. So he is he's descended from a woman called Constance Blackhall. It's a skull on a pedestal. And she was widowed by the new plague, which we talked about when we were at the disaster relief outpost that was set up to handle that new plague. So it was this contagion that broke out before the bombs, and is the whole reason that FEV even exists, because it was an attempt to find a treatment or a vaccine for this new plague. And that's how they developed the FEV virus that gave us the super mutants and the death claws and a whole bunch of other horrors in the wastelands. So, it's kind of an interesting connection there. But Constance Blackhall, her brother is, or was, a member of the Dunwich family. So there is a connection there to Dunwich, which we will cover in a bit more detail later on. Oh, Jesus. That bloody mannequin. Oh, mannequins are so creepy. You can tell at one point this was a family home. We've got cots, and this is clearly decorated like a child's bedroom. The creepy mannequin notwithstanding. Typewriters. Don't see typewriters anymore. See, that's one thing that I would actually love to have is a typewriter. My mum used to have one. I used to like typing on it when I was a child. It's quite, I don't know, there's something quite satisfying about it. I think I maybe need to get a new keyboard that's typewriter-like for writing my books. But yeah, we've got this big like dining room and everything. So, these people obviously lived very well. We've got a billiards room with blood on the table. Obviously, somebody had fallen out over a game of pool. Who knows? Yeah. So when you come in here, you can take anything you want. There is some good loot dotted about, random bits and pieces that you might find useful. None of it's marked as stealing, so you can take what you want, and Obadiah here won't say anything about it. But if you talk to him, he will give you a quest which is called the Dark Heart of Blackhall, which I don't think I haven't started really. So let's have a chat.
Good. People should be able to sit and have a conversation, especially in times like these.
It'd solve a lot of the
Civil
world's
discourse,
problems.
the greatest of our lost arts. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep, couldn't agree more. A lot of problems could be solved if people would just actually communicate better, in my opinion.
I'm glad you think so. Conversation is but one of the virtues that separate us from cretins like those swamp folk.
Mm-hmm.
Swamp folk who, I should mention, absconded with a book, a precious family heirloom. I wanted to ask you, friend, will you get it back?
Sure, what do I get in exchange?
Cash, plain and simple. Return with the book, and I'll pay you 1,000 caps. No questions asked.
Sounds good. Yep, on it.
Good. The fools who stole it believe it has powers, so the thing is probably well guarded. There's a ritual site east of the boardwalk, in the basement of a ruined house. I think you'll find it there. Bring it back to me, and be paid.
Okay, I'm on it. But yes, tell me a little bit about this place.
I don't suppose there's any harm indulging you. What interests you?
How old is it?
Hundreds of years, and still standing strong. You're within a fine example of Victorian architecture, my friend.
There you go. So yeah, Victorian era was quite a long time ago from, our timeline, never mind adding another couple of 100 years onto it in the Fallout timeline. So, it's an old house and old family, so tell me about your family.
Just as much as it's named after us, I suppose. We took the Blackhall name when we arrived on these shores, generations before the Great War. We do well to remember history, particularly in this dark time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ulysses would agree with you on that
What
as
else
well.
do you want to discuss?
Yeah, you can ask him about him hating the swamp folk as well.
I suppose larceny isn't enough reason to hate.
Are they dangerous?
You must be new here if you don't know the answer to
I'm
that
new
by
here,
now.
yeah.
Yes, they're dangerous. They shoot at, smash, or try to eat anything that isn't them. And half the time they shoot at each other. They may have been men once, but no more.
Yeah. So, yeah, it says they're not really like people anymore.
What else do you want to discuss?
They've kind of gone a bit feral. I better go and get your book.
Don't get yourself killed.
I won't. I've got God mode on. Yeah, just to save me spending 5 million years just fighting off all the swamp folk. It's a lot easier to do it that way just for the demonstration. But yeah, so he wants us to go and find this book. He says they think it's got powers, but it's a family heirloom. He's been a bit creative with the truth there. But, he wants you to get this books from the ritual site, so we're going to head there. But we are going to see Marcella as soon as we step outside. There she is.
Wait a moment. I need to know. Has Obadiah sent you in search of a book?
Maybe.
I thought as much. Listen to me very carefully, child. You mustn't bring it to him. That book is known as the Krivbekne, and it's a thing of evil purpose.
Okay, what does that mean?
Yes, the Krivbekne. The Blackhall family has a long, evil history with the book. It was lost to them long ago, but it's found a way back to Point Lookout, and Obadiah seeks to reclaim it.
Kind of interesting that she says it's found a way, like, it, it's kind of anthropomorphizing it, essentially making it sound like the book itself has found a way, like it's just like it's got agency and things. It's very, very interesting. And why do you want it?
Obadiah's no better than the heathens he's asked you to steal it from. He believes he can use it to control them, and God knows what else.
Okay.
There's a way to destroy that damned thing. I intend to do just that.
Okay, so yeah, she's offering the other side of this quest, which is if you bring it to her, she knows how to destroy it, and that will keep people safe from its influence, essentially. So I will think about it.
I ask no more. You can find me at my tent on the beach, south of Blackhall. God bless your path, child.
Thanks. Yeah, so she's at the disaster relief outpost, which we've talked about already. That's where she is living. She's a missionary, so she, she's here to spread the word of God or whatever, to the swamp folk who are probably not that interested, but it's the way it goes. So we need to go and get the Krivbek now, which is a great name. It's similar to the Necromont. I cannot speak today. The Necronomicon, is kind of along those lines, because a lot of this is heavily inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft, the Dunwich Horror, and a few of his other short stories and novels and things. So now we need to go to the ritual site, which is way over here. I've actually been there, so we're just going to fast travel. There is some resistance here, some of the swamp folk, which I will be covering as part of the Humanish Mutations and the Science of Folate series in the future, so look out for that. We will get covered, but yeah, we've got this ruined house, and we've got more of these totems with the creepy mannequin heads, and various things, the dolls. It's all, yeah. But the house itself is not in great shape, as you can see, but the cellar is. So we are gonna pop in there to the burnt out basement. So obviously into the cellar, which is fairly standard. But somebody's been digging. We've got shovels, and we've got more of the creepy totems. And then we make our way through, and we find ourselves in a cavern. I'm going to put the pit boy light on just to illuminate things a bit better. Yeah, so we've got more as like a Brahmin skull and human skulls, obviously. But there's something under here. This looks like almost like a mausoleum or something. And we can keep going. Get some brain fungus. And you can hear the bubbling, maybe. There is biogas deposits down here as well, which does suggest that part of this place is part of the Civil War kind of burial sites that we've seen all over Point Lookout, which again we talked about in a previous episode of this series. We were talking about the SS Ozymandias, and the soil studies that they were doing and the sabotage. So yeah, there's quite a network of caves and stuff around here. There's glowing fungus. Well, this is fun. Somebody's having a little dinner party with dolls. That teddy bear. Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, lots of creepy set design and everything in this area, which I kind of love. But we did find, yeah. So there's like an underground pool of water and a creepy altar with more bones and yeah, bits of dead people, blood, sacrifice, teddy bears, dolls. Marcella's heard that creepy whisper. I'll try and turn that up in editing to see if you guys can hear it, but we can hear some creepy whispering in the background here, along with the crackling of the torches and things. So yeah, we've got this lovely bloody altar with a human sacrifice on it, and then in this lectern, which looks more like the thing that I mean, it's been a long time since I've set foot in any kind of church, but you know, the I can't remember what it's called, the thing where you put the holy water in for baptisms and stuff. That's what this looks like. But we do have, there's more spooky whispers. We do have this book. So when you pick up the book, we take the Kribekna. It's damp with fresh blood, lovely. And then normally a bunch of the swamp folk kind of spawn in behind you and come after you. Yep, there we are. Because they don't want you taking it. So, oh, hello. Goodbye. Sure you will. Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, obviously I've turned off combat and everything, so normally they do come just charging in to get you once you pick up the book. So that's fine, but we'll make our way. Oh, yep, here's some of the biogas, and you can see that there's coffins. Look, somebody was buried with their shotgun, it seems. Oh, we can open the coffin and get the workman's coveralls. Lovely. That's nice and morbid. For a Tuesday, fantastic. Oh, there's a stealth boy in here and a bottle of moonshine if you really want it as well. So, you know, it's obviously been some kind of crypt or some kind of burial location, and presumably some Civil War era burials as well, because we've got the biogas. That makes sense. Is that a quantum? That is a quantum. Someone that loved Nuka-Cola Quantum so much they were buried with it. Okay, I now can't find the way out of here, but this must be it. There we go. Yeah, so it's definitely a creepy little location to be traipsing through. You know, there's obviously we've got lots of fungi and lots of creepy totems and other unsettling things, creepy whispers in the background and stuff. So it's all nice and spooky, which I am here for. So now that we have the book, we've got two options. We can take it to Marcella, which we'll have a look at first. So we'll head over to the disaster relief outpost. And usually you will find, yeah, a couple of smugglers here. They walk away. And the reason for that, we will find out in just a second. Just gonna get rid of these guys. Just because they stopped me from fast travelling. So we're into Marcella's tent. Die thief, blood everywhere, and she is sadly deceased. She does have 5 stim packs, so I'm going to take them and her safety. Don't know why it's still marked as stealing, because she's dead, and I'm sure she would want me to have this stuff. But anyway, whatever. Bloody handprint on her terminal and things, but she's left us a note. Her last words. So let's see.
They attacked while I slept. I don't expect to survive. I only pray that that you haven't taken that book to Obadiah. You must take up my mission. There is one way to utterly destroy the Krivbekne, but you must take a pilgrimage far north of Point Lookout in the capital wasteland. Seek a place called Dunwich. Within is an obelisk, itself a wicked thing. It'll consume the book. You need only press the book to its surface. May God shed his blessings upon you, child. Make haste for Dunwich. My God. I am sorry for all my sins with all my heart in choosing to do wrong and failing to do good. I have sinned against you, whom I should.
There we go. So yeah, unfortunately, they obviously injured her enough that she wouldn't survive, but she still had time to make that little recording for us. So she says you can destroy it. You need to go to the capital wasteland, and you need to go to Dunwich. And there's a base in the basement. There's an obelisk. You press the book against that, and it gets destroyed. So that is one option. I have covered Dunwich in one of the wasteland biographies about a man who took up his father's search for a specific book, which is actually the Crivbecna, and he became a ghoul and got involved in the Ogquiltoth and everything. So I've covered that. I'll link that video for you guys if you've not seen it. And that kind of covers the Dunwich building and things, which is a very creepy place. It's quite a fun little excursion. So it's one of the few quests where you actually are asked to bring something back from a DLC and then complete the quest in the main game. That's quite an unusual thing for, you know, these side quests and DLCs to do that, but in this case that is what happens. So the other option we have here is that we take the book back to our friend Obadiah, which is what we're going to do. So we're going to go back to Blackhall Manor. Put the gun away. And we will go and have a chat with our friend about his creepy book. Hello.
The book. You found it. Quickly, give it to me.
I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet.
Surely you're not considering giving it to Marcella. Come now, that woman can't rub two caps together. Give it to me and be paid.
Yeah, so he's talking about money, and he's yeah, you can say that to him. That's quite funny. You know, he's like, well, she can't pay you any money. I'm gonna give you money. Why wouldn't you give it to me? And you can say she's actually dead. Did you have something to do with it?
Can't say that I did. But that's all the more reason you should give the book to me.
Yeah. So he kind of denies it, but you can press him on it.
Bargain, roughneck.
Rude.
Hand the book over and collect your fee.
But you can kind of press him on it, and he will admit to arranging it. So he's not fully taking credit for it, but he's kind of he did kind of arrange it. So we can give the book to him here, and then he'll let us. We'll basically get to go into the basement. So if you've got the money,
Yes, of course.
I'll give you the
your
book.
errand fee. Now give it to me.
You don't lose karma or anything, so this is considered a neutral action, although whether that's the case is questionable. So he does get up, he can walk, even though he's sitting in a wheelchair. Maybe the wheelchair's just more comfortable for him with his old bones, but we're going to follow him, because it'd be interesting to see what he does.
Try not to get that filth on you while you're out there.
I mean, your shirt and things could definitely do a wash as well, sir, if you don't mind me saying. Ugh, what is that? Oh look, there's radiation. Of course there is. So yeah, we can follow him into the basement. And got more of the creepy totems. And we've got another altar with the dead creeper on it, which he's now praying in front of. You going to say anything? No.
Ogquiltoth is returned. Be afraid, worms.
There we go. So that's how we know that the entity that's central to all the Lovecraftian stuff is called Ogquiltoth. He mentions it here. Oh, there's an eyeball on the floor. Lovely. So yeah, that's kind of the outcome. You get money. He starts praying to his creepy eldritch god. And that's kind of the end of it. But the house here is fair game. Say nothing is marked as stealing, and you can basically move in and use it as a player home. Here, there's a safe that is safe for you to store stuff, and Obadiah doesn't really care about you hanging around. So you can move in with him, and he'll be fine. He's just going to stay in his creepy basement and pray. So you can just leave him to his devices, and that's great. Is that? It's a bit, looks like a jaw or something lovely. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the quest, the Dark Heart of Blackhall. The alternative, obviously, is that we go to Dunwich and we put the book into the obelisk there, and it gets destroyed and keeps people safe. But there is an alternative version of this quest that was cut from the game because I think it was too complicated and they didn't have enough time to fit everything in that they wanted to do with this stories. But it is also, there's some bits about it in the game files and things like that, where the quest progresses very, very differently. So it involves this group of like cultists that want the book, and Obadiah and Marcella are actually working together to get the book destroyed, and they ask you to help with it. So Marcella gets killed by the cult, and Obadiah asks you to take the book to Dunwich to destroy it. Or if you refuse to do that, then he'll perform a ritual where he sacrifices himself to destroy the book instead. So it paints Obadiah here as more of a good guy. He's helping destroy this book because it was something from his family that goes way back, and he knows how dangerous it is, and he wants rid of it. That seems to be the storyline. So very, very different storyline compared to what we actually got in the game. But I thought it was interesting to highlight that there was a different side of this where Marcella and Obadiah were working together and they were trying to destroy this book, but couldn't make it all the way to Dunwich, whereas if they ask you to do it, you have that capacity that you can take it back to the capital wasteland and get it destroyed and things. So quite an interesting one. And obviously Obadiah, his family are related to the Dunwich family because his ancestor Constance, her brother, was Richard Dunwich, and it comes from obviously H.P. Lovecraft's works. The Dunwich Horror is a short story, which is where the name came from as well, and it's all very similar. And it's really interesting that this thread is showing up in several places. Because the Dunwich building was in Fallout 3 before Point Lookout came out. And it's a fun, spooky little dungeon to explore anyway. And then obviously they brought it back in Fallout 4 with Dunwich Borders and the Quarry in Fallout 4, where you also encounter some spooky hijinks and goings on. So if you've not explored those locations for yourself in the games, I would recommend doing it. It's quite fun, it's quite interesting, and it does tell a fascinating little story. And then a final little spot to look at, which is a small kind of unmarked location as far as I know. Might be marked. That's the Delta, which we've covered. Yeah, so we want to head... Oh, there we go. So we want to head south of the manor. So this is a little unmarked spot, but I thought it was interesting to mention because it is quite close by to the Blackhall Manor. So here it is. So we've got a little monument here, which is a coastal monument. Somebody's obviously set up a campsite in front of it. But we've got a plaque here that we can look at. So here marks the landing of Captain John Smith's shallop upon his discovery of Point Lookout in 1612. So in real life it was apparently 1608 when this happened, and this is the same John Smith that does appear in stories about Pocahontas. But I would advise against using Disney movies as accurate historical records for such things. as Disney tends to sanitize these things quite a bit. But you know, the true story of Pocahontas is quite a harrowing one. But this is a little monument to John Smith's arrival in the New World, this obelisk here, which I thought was kind of interesting, because there's a lot of kind of US history to be found in Point Lookout. You know, there's still a lot of stuff from the Confederates and, you know, the Civil War era and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's kind of interesting. And I do like that, you know, they have incorporated some of these bits of history, because remember, the timelines between our world, the real world, and Fallout didn't really diverge much until after the Second World War, after 1945. So prior to that, everything pretty much happened the same, essentially, or supposed to have happened pretty much the same as it did in our timeline. Of course, history does have a habit of repeating itself. That is pretty much it for, you know, the locations here in Point Lookout. You know, these places are just where some of the swamp folk and stuff live, so there's not really much of interest there as far as I'm aware. So next week we will pick up with something else. I do want to continue looking at some interesting locations, so you know, sort of less well known ones, and particularly kind of unmarked locations that have interesting little stories or interesting little secrets. So as always, I'm open to sort of suggestions. If there's anywhere that you guys know about that maybe you haven't seen anybody cover, you don't know if many people know about it, definitely let me know. I'd be more than happy to look at that, and I'm going to start putting some things together. So might switch games. You know, New Vegas is kind of popular at the moment, understandably, with the TV show, which I'm here for because I'm loving it so far. I think we're going to see some very interesting things going forward in that. So maybe I'll look into that, or maybe look at Fallout 4 again. I haven't really explored Fallout 4 for quite some time, assuming that the latest update hasn't destroyed all my mods and things and it'll run. I haven't checked that. I will at some point before we do anything with it. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. Point Lookout's a great DLC. There's no doubt about it. The storyline that you're dealing with is really fascinating, and there's so much kind of interesting backstory and lore in this place, and there's a lot of interesting little side quests that send you, you know, doing all sorts of things. It's really spooky, it's really creepy, it's a challenge as well, so even for higher level players, the enemies here tend to be quite tough, so it's something that definitely keeps you on your toes. I really like it, so hopefully you guys do too. As always, love to hear from you guys in the comments, any thoughts, opinions, hit me with them, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. I have had a bit of an influx of new subscribers recently, which is awesome. Happy you guys are here, and yeah, I'll catch you next time. Bye.